Thanks for coming to j&ntravels podcast with your hosts, John and Nancy.
Hi.
We will discuss everything travel, including cruising, Disney World, other general travel, snowbirding tips, trivia, and other fun things.
Thanks for joining us. Each podcast contains 2 segments with travel information. We also have Nancy's Trivia, travel fun facts, and snowbird tips. We have been getting some questions emailed to us and will answer one question on each podcast. If interested in sending us a question or making up a comment, email us at j&ntravels@yahoo.com. Please check out our J&N Travels Facebook page, J&N Travels merchandise store, our J&N Travels YouTube channel, and visit our podcasts on YouTube, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and Apple. Our information for everything is listed below. We like to start off each podcast with Nancy's Trivia. Nancy, that's me, will give you the trivia questions now, and she will give you the answers towards the end of our podcast.
Nancy is the part of our show, the lead into our show. We like to get people's mind working. So usually search around and get 3 or 4 trivia questions.
Sure, I do that.
This is our trivia time.
Yes.
And what are your 3 trivia
All
questions
right,
today,
all right.
Nancy?
All right, number 1. Which country is known as the land of the rising sun?
What country is known as the land of the rising sun?
Yeah.
I think I know that one.
All right.
Okay.
Number 2. Which tree sits prominently in Liberty Square in Disney World's Magic Kingdom?
Which tree sits prominently in Liberty Square in Disney World's Magic Kingdom? I'm pretty sure I know that one too.
I think that one's a good, easy one, yeah. And number 3. On which cruise ship did the Poop Cruise of 2013 happen? It was renamed to the Carnival Sunrise.
On which cruise ship did the Poop Cruise of 2013 happen? It was renamed to the Carnival Sunrise. I actually read an article on this. I can't remember what the old name was, but I do remember the story where all the sanitary conditions on the ship became very bad.
I can't imagine.
Yep, and they dry docked it and they repaired it and came back, I guess, for public relations reasons, came back with a different name. So I'll have to think if I get the name. Okay, so those are the 3 questions. We'll answer those at the end of this video.
Okay.
Thank you, Nancy. Our first segment is from one of our earlier live broadcasts. And this is on changes that we've seen in traveling in the 30 years that we've been traveling together. Started, you're doing the first question. And what is that question?
So, walkie-talkies versus...
No, what's the question?
Interesting changes in travel since we started traveling together over 30 years.
Okay, and this is based on basically us, but things that we've noticed. I mean, there's tons of changes, and you could throw changes that you come up with into the chat.
Sure.
Scott says, nope, Alabama, sunny in mid-70s.
Oh.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
Oh, he's from... Okay. Gotcha. Walkie-talkie versus apps.
Okay. So when we first did cruising, the whole family had walkie-talkies.
Oh, yes, we did. We had those Motorola's walkie-talkies.
Yeah. We got them. Well, actually, those right on the screen.
Oh, they're right there. Yeah, there they are.
And we used those, which weren't the greatest thing. They weren't you could not get great reception. They weren't the greatest thing to use.
No.
Nowadays, you go on there. I think we paid $5 for Carnival, and we had the little app. Then we were communicating with each other over the phones.
Yep. Yeah, which a lot easier than carrying around the little Motorola.
Right. What's the second change you got, Nance?
Antenna balls, so you could find your car in Disney.
Does anyone remember these antenna balls? We had these because, of course, cars all had antennas.
Yes.
And these are a big seller. You put these right on your antenna, and when you went up to the parking lot, you'd be able to find your car. I mean, they were great for Disney World, but also just going to the shopping mall or anything else, right?
Yeah.
Boy, I kind of miss just the look of those.
I know. I like them, too. But there's nothing worse than coming out of a store and not knowing where your car is and walking around. But now with the, automatic, car openers, you can just kind of press it and hear a beep and follow the beep.
Well, it's funny because we go to a small supermarket.
Yeah.
And I still trouble finding my car in the small supermarket. And that's more of a sign of age than it is of no lack of antenna balls.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What's your next one, Nance?
Let's see. My next one is cassettes and CDs versus streamed music.
Now I go back. We go back when they just was starting to phase out 8-tracks.
Yeah,
remember that?
I do.
We had very few of those, so we weren't in that big generation.
Yeah.
Right after cassettes came in, and we have tons of cassettes, and we had cassette players in all our cars, and that's what we were listening to. And then it switched from CDs.
Yeah.
Which was nice and easy. In fact, we still have the CD players in the car.
Oh, yeah,
right?
we still have the CD players in the car, which I love. I mean, I always listened to my CDs when I was driving to work. So
right, and then now it's basically we use it, whether it was the satellite radio or streaming, or streaming through. Yeah. And I actually do listen to podcasts and music through my phone now, streaming through. See, Scotty says we had the walkie-talkies when our son was a kid.
Oh, you did too? Yeah.
I think everyone started out with the cups. Remember the cups and the string?
Yeah.
But did you ever bring Scotty on a cruise ship? They were probably long gone by the time you took your first cruise. So that was what? The cruise we brought them on, what year was that? You remember? Was that 2000?
I think it was the Disney cruise that we brought them on.
No, it was my family, because my brother got on me, worked for a company.
Oh, got a bunch of yes. So that was in 2010. Wow, that's 13 years ago.
13? Yeah. Oh, geez, I thought it was farther back than that.
Yeah, that was, if we brought him, yeah.
Tommy says, oh, you youngsters missed the fun days of reel-to-reel tape, not Google for car rides.
Oh,
my father had the biggest rig of tape in his house. Remember that?
Yeah, my father had that as well. Yeah, and then every time he tried to play the home movies, the tape would break. And
you have to splice it.
Yeah, you have to splice it.
It was like the home movies, the tapes, and then I forget what I was going to say on that.
And we converted, as a gift to my parents years ago, we converted those into, I think it was a DVD, right? Into home
we converted all the, well, not all. All the cassettes we like, we put on CDs and listen to those. Scotty says, we just took our first cruise in 2019. Walkie-talkies were long gone. Yeah. So what's your next one? So music is now converted to satellite and streaming. What's the next one?
Let's see. Oh, this one, landline versus cell phones. The first trip with our cell was, they were charging roaming fees. I remember because we were going to the Poconos and your father was following us.
Father was excited. He sat there with a map.
Yeah, he did. He was excited.
Tracking us.
Yeah, he was tracking us. And then
we could go with the cellular all the way to the Pennsylvania border.
That's right.
Where they would start charging us roaming fees and everything else.
I remember you said, Dad, I got to go. They're charging me roaming fees. Yeah, that was funny. I remember. That doesn't seem like that long ago.
So, but that was the first cell. Before that, of course, it was just your landline.
I know how long ago it was because our son was 1 year old when we went on that trip. So that was 27 years ago.
Well, the kids still laugh at us now because we have a landline.
Yeah.
And it's funny. Anyone that gets a phone nowadays, their generation anyways.
Yeah.
Just lives on their cell phone, which we get terrible cell.
We don't get the greatest cell here.
So we have 2 cell phones here, and then we have 2 landlines.
Yeah,
here.
we do. We still have our landlines, yeah.
What's the next on your list, Nance?
The Walt Disney World paper tickets versus magic bands. Oh, I remember the paper tickets. The first time I went to Disney World, I was 27, and they had the paper tickets.
And it used to be, this is the original booklets, okay? So you'd get a certain amount of rides. Each of those color codes on the right side, what the B, C, D, E were your rides. Your E rides were your best rides.
That's why I remember that.
People sometimes don't realize that when they make a reference, oh, that's an E ride. Yeah. They're referring to these tickets as being the best rides. And
well, they have that in I think it was the one of the gift shops. Oh no, I think it was Sarasota. When you walk around, they actually have a section.
The original?
Yeah, a section where they had the E-rides, a picture of the tickets. You remember that?
Yeah, well, there's several spots, that have the flash. I was sure you'd save the booklet, but then, of course, you wouldn't be able to use the ticket, right?
Of course not. Right.
So you'd have a certain amount of B's, C's, and you'd hand them the ticket.
Right.
Our local amusement park at that time, you'd buy tickets, and each ride would take a certain amount of tickets. You remember Canby Lake?
Oh, yeah.
And they all around the same time, within a few years of each other, they all went to this all-inclusive where you get into the park, and that's all you use.
Yeah,
so this is now changed to, what did you say it was?
Well, they're magic bands.
The magic bands, right. But I think you can still get the card, because if we went, you have the option. Magic bands you actually have to buy,
Yeah,
or you can
do
just
have to
get the
buy
card
them.
and use it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Have you had the first cell phone that's bigger than a walkie-talkie? We call it Jurassic. Well, you'd laugh, but because of I hate the small screen at work. Like, first, they gave me the option to have the big screen. It wasn't as big as an iPad.
Yeah.
But it was a big screen. Do you remember that first one I had?
I do remember.
And I tried getting it. I don't think we have a phone here. I tried getting on my recent one that I got, and it's much smaller. But those were big. That's funny.
That is funny.
Okay. What's the next one on your list, Nance? Of interesting changes in travel since we started traveling over 30 years ago.
Everything on a key card versus cash or credit cards.
You guys don't remember. Most of you don't remember going around with your pockets full of change and cash. And
I mean, how many people carry cash now? I mean, I only carry cash if I'm going to go to a flea market.
Well, Nancy went to a thrift shop last week. And we're looking around the car for cash because they didn't take charges. Yeah. So we're looking through, and I pull my wallet out. I had $10 that was left over from our cruise last year that I stuck in there in case I needed for tips or something. We just don't use it. And the ships are great now, because I think most of the theme parks are great because you basically have your card. Yeah. And you can put most of your charges on that card. Yeah. I mean, there's very little, even tips, like overall on a cruise ship, we don't pay cash for that. We just prepay it or pay it at the end on our credit card. Yeah. I think the only reason we bring some cash.
Well, for a porter, if you want to tip a porter, you need to bring
porter. You need it, right? And on the island, some of the gift shops.
Some of the gift shops,
We usually bring about $300 of cash on the cruise and come home with about $280.
Right,
every cruise.
We just bring it cash in case of an emergency.
All right, Nance. What's the next one on your list of changes?
Let's see. Hotel rooms, ship cabins have fridge. Most hotel micro versus neither of these.
Yeah, in the old days, we would have to ask, or you'd have to pay extra for a certain room to get a refrigerator.
Yeah, you do. Yes.
And then you'd even have to pay on top of that if you want a microwave.
Right.
I'm noticing now every hotel we've gone that has at least a refrigerator.
At least a fridge.
And most of them have a micro system.
Most of them do, yeah.
Even the cruise ships, when we first went on, they did not have, they're not refrigerators as such, more like ice boxes, but they keep stuff cool if you need to. Yeah. And I think every cabin we've stayed in has had those.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they have. Yeah.
Don't have the microwave, but you don't need that.
No, you don't need it.
The food's all out there.
Yeah, plenty of food.
Tommy says, remember getting an electric kettle in our hotel room once.
Oh, really?
I thought that was high living. Now there's so many rules about that. Can't bring a hot plate. Can't have
you can't. Well, you know what we did a long time ago when we went to Washington, D.C., we drove down. So we actually brought our toaster oven. I remember you making English muffin pizzas in the hotel.
Yeah.
That's kind of dangerous. Good thing
right.
We could have burned
Probably
out.
against the rules.
I know. Oh, gosh.
What is on your next list, Nancy?
Movies on planes shown on one screen, not individual monitors. Now, individual monitors behind seats.
Now, this took us by surprise because we don't like to fly. We have nothing against flying. It doesn't bother us. I just hate airports.
Yeah.
It seems like they're so disorganized. Yeah. Okay, maybe they'll organize someday and we can, because I want to fly back down to Miami and take some cruises.
Yeah, that would be nice.
But when we went years ago, it had one movie screen at the front. And you had to, I don't know if you rented it or they gave it for free, but you had headphones.
Remember
if you wanted to listen.
The headphones. Yeah, I remember that.
So our ship broke down a few years ago. The NCL Gem, they couldn't make it back to port, so they went to Barbados.
They did.
And they flew in all these planes from Canada. Air Canada, I should say.
My gosh, what an undertaking that was.
And they sent us all back to New Jersey, New York on an airplane. So this is our first experience, is what you see in the picture there, is they no longer have the screen.
I know.
You could pick your movie and they had it in front
We
of
were
you.
just really surprised because we hadn't flown since 2001. And this was 2017. So it had been 16 years since we were on an airplane. And to see the changes like that, with the movie theater.
Right. All right, Nance, what's your next one in changes in the last 30 years in traveling for us?
All right. Next one was great midnight buffet, unlimited lobster, and chocolate buffet on cruise ships.
All right.
Long gone with the chocolate buffet on cruise ships.
Has anyone cruised other than us with a midnight buffet? And if if you're not familiar with the midnight buffet, it's not what people on Carnival claim is a midnight buffet, which is a late night snack.
Yeah.
This was a buffet that was bigger than it wasn't bigger, but it was pretty close to the size of the regular buffet on the ship.
I remember.
They would roll the tables out, and they would do it at midnight, and there were all sorts of novelties. And this is an ice sculpture that they had on one of the ships. This was terrific. Okay. Another one when they were, I think even after they got rid of the midnight buffet recently, I can't remember what the last cruise was, but remember they had the chocolate buffet.
Yeah, we did experience the chocolate buffet. I think it was in 2010 on the Dawn. They had a little chocolate buffet.
Well, it was big, but yeah, it was everything chocolate. It was like late at night. You go in, they had all these chocolates you see here, but they also had chocolate ice cream. They had chocolate.
Okay, so that was on the Dawn 2010.
Okay, that was on the Dawn.
Yeah.
And then the most recent one, which this is me. I'm probably the one who set them in this direction, but this is 10 lobsters. You can't do that anymore unless you pay an additional fee. That was the last thing to go. And this was back in October.
Yeah, October on Carnival.
You could have an unlimited amount of lobster tails. Now you can have one.
Yeah.
And each additional one you have to pay for.
I know. Well,
so I'm curious if anyone else has been able to live through the experience the buffet. Let's see. Tommy says, spent many late nights stuffing my mouth and certainly never missed a chocolate midnight. Yeah. You got your money's worth. Those are terrific.
That's excellent.
The regular buffet went first at midnight. Yeah. Then the chocolate one disappeared.
Yeah.
And then just recently, the cruise lines eliminated the lobster.
I'm glad we got to experience that because that's only on Carnival that offers lobster.
No, the first one to go was NCL.
Oh, okay.
And they switched.
Okay. I forgot about that.
They eliminated the all-you-can-eat lobster. They eliminated lobster night.
Okay.
And then they started putting lobster into a lobster pasta, but people were going through the line picking out the lobster chunks.
That's right.
So now it's totally gone unless you pay extra. Okay, what's your next one, Nance?
I'll have to speed it up. Let's see. Great Midnight. Oh, I just read that. Triptychs versus GPS. I remember those. AAA.
Laugh at me again, but I still have a triptych I got from last 2 years ago. They're still giving them out.
They are still giving them out. AAA.
Drive down to Florida.
Yeah.
But basically, in fact, I just learned a few years ago. Remember, we couldn't even figure out how to use the phone to do GPS. We had to buy a separate Garmin GPS.
Yeah,
and we ran
that. How to do that.
I finally can run it off of GPS.
Yeah. That's all.
Anyone heard of triptych or use a triptych?
I mean, I asked the kids, I go, you know how to get there? Oh, I'll just put it in, I'll plug it in the GPS. I'm like, yeah, they know how to get everywhere because of the GPS. All they have to do is plug it in.
Okay.
Yeah.
This looks like the airplane thing. What is this one?
TV video in car versus unlimited TV on phone.
Actually, this is a more futuristic one too. We had nothing like this. We had an old TV that you plug into the lighter, black and white, that never got reception.
But it was great because it entertained our kids when we were driving down to Disney.
For a little bit. And then they had this version, which you could get VHSs and watch it on the back of the seat.
Yeah.
Now it's not that, right? People just look on their phones.
They just
you
look
watch
on
complete
their
TV shows and movies. And your last one was
the biggest change, everything to do with virus, masks, distancing, and low occupancy. Yeah. And
we don't need to go through this. You all know what this was. We went through a phase where it was very strict, and now it's stepped back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say it's ever going to be like it was before.
Yeah.
You know, there's still restrictions. If you're not vaccinated, there's still restrictions on certain
Remember
ships,
when it first started, only the essential workers could go to work? And we had to have a special letter. You had a special letter and I had a special letter. And they said if we got stopped, you just present that letter and they'll let you go.
I just heard recently, I didn't realize they were still going through all the quarantines on ships. If you have signs of it or test positive, you're in your cabin for at least 5 days.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they were still doing that. So there's still so much of that out there, and I don't know if it will ever go away completely.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
And those are R12. At some point, maybe we'll update that. But if you have any additional changes that you remember, be interesting to see. How many remember the old multi-page paper airline ticket versus today's digital ticket, and what What happened to carbon paper?
Yeah,
right. The carbon paper.
I remember
how about on charge cards of carbon paper?
I know, those were so hard to do. You really had to.
But remember the tickets he's talking about? God, it was so nerve-wracking because we'd each have a bunch of these papers. And you had to make sure you had the right ones. Yes. And they asked for the right ones.
Yes, that's a good point.
Since we have spent quite a bit of time in Florida during our snowbirding and actually watched some launches, great views from our balcony.
Yeah, our 10th floor balcony was gorgeous.
Nancy thought it'd be interesting to go back a little bit in time and pull out some fun facts on the shuttle, which was launched many times from the East Coast.
Yeah, over it was Cape Canaveral.
Cape Canaveral, right. So you have 5 fun facts for the shuttle, Nance, for us.
Yeah, number 1, the space shuttle was the first reusable spacecraft. This means that they could be launched again and again.
And I find that interesting. I guess it was a total of 6 shuttles that went up, and they went up a considerable amount of time. So the money must have saved. Were you using the
well,
shuttle?
Yeah, because they're expensive just to make. So it's good that they can reuse them.
Number 2?
Number 2, space shuttles were first launched in 1981.
Over 20 years ago, huh? What was the first shuttle? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. The first shuttle was called Columbia.
Columbia, that's right. I remember that now.
Yeah, I remember it, yeah.
Number 3?
Okay. The space shuttles were retired by NASA in 2011.
That's very hard to believe. I don't remember that. You know, it seems like it was just yesterday, less than 10 years ago. That's quite a while.
Yeah. It said the first ever landing was a space shuttle called Atlantis.
That was the last one, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and that was July 21st, 2011.
Okay, where did that land? Did that land on California or on the? I forget where that landed.
I think it landed. It landed at Kennedy Space Center.
Oh, Kennedy Space Center. That's right. Yeah. And the 4th one?
In the 30 years that space shuttles were in action, they managed to do 135 missions.
So that's 6 shuttles, 135 missions. That's quite a bit of.
You probably tracked some of those.
20. It's over 20 missions per shuttle.
Yeah, you probably tracked some.
I'm sure we did.
Yeah. And number 5, a total of 355 astronauts flew on the space shuttles.
Yeah, and a lot of those repeat ones too, from what I understand. Okay.
Hey, we had a couple from. Was it 2 astronauts who were from New Hampshire or just 1?
Not sure.
It was, I know there was 1. He's from Derry, New Hampshire, I believe.
All right. Well, thank you for those facts,
You're
Nance.
welcome. Bye. Follow John and Nancy from J&N Travels as they snowbird in Florida for the winter months.
Snowbirding tip. Looking to get a little exercise and the way to get away from all the parks? Spend an afternoon at the Celebration Farmers Market and Celebrate. It is held on Sundays from 10 to 2 in the winter and 9 to 1 in the summer. For our second segment today, we're going to showcase a new ship coming out, Iconoftheseas. We talked about this during one of our lives, and now we're going to put it here for you in our podcast. Showcase a new ship coming out a little bit. Just talk about it. And the one we picked today was Royal Caribbean Iconoftheseas. So let me tell you.
Iconoftheseas. It's bigger than the Oasis.
So let me throw some facts on that. Royal Caribbean Iconoftheseas kicks off the cruise line's brand new Icon class. They have a new class for Royal Caribbean. This was supposed to debut in December of this year, but it's been postponed to January of next year, January 2024. Royal Caribbean's Quantum class ships, it's smaller than the Oasis class ships with a gross tonnage of 200. This is what it was going to be when it came out. In guest capacity around 5,600. However, in October 2022, cruise line confirmed that the Iconoftheseas would actually be larger than the existing Oasis ships. Now, we did Oasis at Sea and absolutely loved it.
loved it. We'd go back in a heartbeat.
The gross tonnage is going to be 250,800.
And the best part when we were on the Oasis is it wasn't full capacity. So, because we did a back-to-back, and the first week wasn't full capacity, but the second week was a little more crowded. But I can't imagine going on a ship of that size, and if it was full capacity.
We'll hold 5,600 people.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And will be considered the largest cruise line ship in the world now when this comes out in January. These are some of the features on it. It features the largest water park at sea, named Category 6, with 6 water slides. I don't know how many of you. I love the water slides.
Yeah,
Nancy goes depending on how
high they are. I'm a little scared of heights, so yeah. I didn't do the one on the Carnival because they were too high.
It says more ocean views and pools, so that's good. They're gonna put more pools on it. On board will be the largest pool ever on a cruise ship, filled with 40,000 gallons. So that'd be nice, huh? It's about time they made the pools a little bigger.
That's a good improvement.
The ship will also include more than 40 new forms of entertainment.
Oh, I love the
dining,
entertainment.
bars, and nightlife options, and cutting-edge entertainment. Well, that's a ship, of course, that we saw the high dive show.
Yes, that was amazing.
They have an ice skating rink. So you would think they'll have these things and plus more, right?
Yeah.
They do say they're going to have both of those. There's a new Aquadome space perched on the top of the vessel. This will be a transformational venue where guests can enjoy wraparound ocean views during the day, including an inspiring waterfall.
Oh, pretty.
The cruise line will be revealing even more details about the ship as it debuts, draws closer. Now, the tonnage of this, like I said, is 250,800. Capacity, 5,610. The crew, 2,350. 20 decks, and it will be coming out in January 2024. Has anyone looked into this? I'm not sure
where it sail from. Yeah,
where it sails from.
Oh, okay.
It does.
Miami.
It does. It says Miami. Of course, they all sail from Miami.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think it's Miami. Yeah.
As we get to the end of our show, Nance, it's time for you to give people their trivia answers. So, go ahead.
Okay, which country is known as the land of the rising sun? You said you know
my guess was Japan.
Yeah, it is Japan.
Okay.
Which tree sits prominently in Liberty Square in Disney World's Magic Kingdom?
Now this is, you got to know Disney probably to get this because it's just obvious. If I'm pretty sure it's a Liberty tree, right?
Yeah, it's a Liberty tree. It says the Liberty tree. Disney's World, the Disney World gardeners have grown over 500 new oak trees from the acorns of the Liberty tree.
That's fascinating. I would love to know if they map them out. They must have a map of where they put all these, and if they're, there must be some full-grown trees by now.
I know. I wonder if you can buy the acorns, like in the gift shop or something.
We've never checked that gift shop.
No, we're going to have to check that for the acorns.
And what's your third one?
On which cruise ship did the Poop Cruise of 2013 happen? It was renamed to the Carnival Sunrise.
I can't remember the original one. What was the original one called?
It says it was the Carnival Triumph.
Triumph, yeah. And then the accident happened, and they had to rename it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Nance.
You're welcome.
Nance, this is where we answer a question from a listener.
Okay.
We ask listeners if anyone has any questions, personal or travel-wise, to email them to us, j&ntravels@yahoo.com, and we will answer one per show.
All right.
So the question today, Nance, that we have been asked is, what is your favorite Disney World restaurant? This isn't as tough as you would think, in my opinion.
This is easy for us.
I'm assuming yours is the same as mine. What is it?
Ohana's.
Yeah, to me it just blows it away. We've done Chef Mickey's, we've done several others, but
Ohana's amazing.
You can't beat the view.
No, the view, Cinderella's castle. I love it.
You can't beat being at the Polynesian. We just love that
Polynesian,
that
beautiful
whole atmosphere.
Yeah.
And
the food.
You can't beat the food.
No. And it's what they call it, family style, right?
Yeah, for anyone who hasn't been there, they bring out food kind of on skewers, shrimp, beef,
chicken.
The best chicken wings.
That was really good.
The best, they had these great noodles, salad.
The salad was so tender. I think they got it from the land, right? Where they used the
they might have
lettuce from the land because it was a really tender
She's referring
salad.
to the ride, living with the land.
Yeah, living with the land.
In Epcot. They grow their own hydroponic foods
and
here. A lot of them are used in the restaurants. So yeah, so by far, give it a try. It's a little on the pricey side,
It is.
but if you want to splurge for a celebration or something,
You won't be disappointed.
And it's all you can eat.
And
It's
then they
family
have-
style, but it's all you can eat.
And then they have the someone playing the ukulele for atmosphere. It was nice. It was wonderful.
At different times, they'll have little kids games around, like a horse race or something like that.
Yeah.
So those are our favorite. I
That
guess we
is.
both agree on that. Okay,
Yes, we
Nance,
do.
thanks. Thanks for coming to J&N Travels Podcast.